One.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. In Art 3, we have quite a challenging project for your next one coming up. You're going to create interrupted portraits. And here in this slide, it says interrupted appropriated portraits. That is because you are going to appropriate a portrait of someone, but the purpose of your artwork, the meaning of your artwork will change depending on how you alter it. So it says design an image from multiple references, and your problem to solve is that you're going to create a portrait that is partly covered by other images. So in this example, you can see the portrait of the woman is appropriated, probably using a reference photograph, but as for the meaning or content has been changed because it's partly covered by this huge stopwatch that's on her cheek. And so in this way, the meaning of it has been changed. Now, we could speculate as to what the meaning is at this point, but I just want to go ahead and get through all of the examples and what my requirements are first. So the grading criteria. First off is compositional effectiveness, and that'll be represented by an A in the rubric later on that I'll show you. Originality, imagination, and inventiveness, which will be by C for creativity. How original is your artwork? How imaginative or inventive did you get with solving that artistic problem? So that first one, pretty simplistic solution. Just kind of put that stopwatch on her cheek, said, okay, I'm done. I want you to push yourself a little bit further than that. So on this one, it seems like she's put a little bit more thought and intention and inventiveness into her work. This looks like it could have been a photographic negative, not a negative, I'm sorry. Some sort of object that she placed over on top of this image and then took it as a photograph. And then finally, thinking about your technical skill, just overall, the quality of work should reflect the Art 3 honors level. So here is a very good example of the project. So the concept of the project is that you're going to create a portrait that is partly covered by other objects. So here we have Benedict Cumberbatch, but his portrait has been appropriated by being covered with the butterfly and the use of color in the blood. Thinking about what is the new meaning created when something is applied to a borrowed image. So why am I asking you to do this? Well, you're going to hone your compositional design skills. You have to come up with what portrait to use and what objects to put on top and how to do that. Your drawing skills, so obviously the technical skill, it should be a realistic portrait. I should be able to tell that you have skills to render an image. And also using your imagination. So going beyond just the very simple, I'm going to paste this on top of this other thing and then I'm done. So what are you going to use? Well, your choice of media is anything that you really want. I highly suggest drawing or painting. It does have to be two-dimensional. You can use collage as long as the portrait that you choose is not done with a photograph. I do ask that you render somehow the face of the person, but you can choose to collage other things on top or include collage as part of your image. We're also going to be looking at your choice of subject matter. So it has to have a human face and at least two other images. So the first two could have been pushed a little bit further with how they were layered and designed. So how long do you have to do this project? You have 2 weeks from the start, including your portfolio update to turn in your work. So it's very important that you guys use your sketchbook at home or think of ideas on your own. You do not want to fall behind trying to think of what it is you want to do before you even get a chance to start it. So the process for this, first you're going to gather images, just looking at portraits, looking at objects, looking at images that you would want to layer on top. Then you're going to go through some planning. You're going to compose those images. You can use collage, thumbnails, tracing your sketchbook. You're going to create 3 possible arrangements to decide on: work size, placement, color, and content. So I want 3 different ideas before you get your final started. Once you have your 3 ideas, you're going to refine your plan, choose which one you want, and then you'll create a full-size work. It says on tracing paper, but you can just redraw it out on whatever your final surface is. That's your choice. And then finally, execute your plan. So make it good craftsmanship, creativity, address your composition. This example on the left is a great use of space, background, foreground. We have that item layered on top of her face, and it also looks like her shirt has an object as well. So here's an example of 2 different images that were kind of combined. I would prefer a little bit more variety in the 2 images that were combined. It looks to me like it was just the one on the left combined with his actual portrait. But this is a fairly good example of how you can layer 2 things on top of each other. There's still enough of the original face there for me to see that it is a combination of the 2. Just keep in mind that you're supposed to combine 2 images on top of the portrait, so 3 images total. Because this picture and this picture are the same thing, just different angles, it doesn't really translate very well into that final image. All right, here's the rubric. So compositional effectiveness and your concept originality, imagination, and inventiveness. Okay, and then also, of course, your technical skill. So is your work balanced? An A grade. Balanced work is the result of excellent planning. Your images are fully unified into one harmonious whole, and then positive and negative spaces are fully considered. On the opposite end of that, you need to make sure if you didn't plan it out first, that's going to hurt your grade. Images weren't unified, so if you just kind of paste stuff awkwardly, make sure that you do it in a unified way. And then positive and negative space, just thinking about the entire space of your image. Then the originality of your work, you have to have some sort of concept or idea. What is it that you're trying to communicate to us? This one was a great analogy, kind of just saying, the way that the shape of his face was. It is a little bit humorous. It's a little bit, teasing him in a way, but the concept is clear. And then significant development beyond duplication. So considering that first example where it was mostly portrait and then the one stopwatch could have used some work. But with the portrait of the girl, there's a lot of concept there. There's a lot of content that can be interpreted from that. Okay, on the other side of that, concept is weak or absent, and then plagiarized would just mean you basically just copied something straight off the internet, or if you just took this picture and just copied it, or even made very minimal changes, you would earn very few points. Okay, so keeping in mind that that's still a D level work here, so make sure you're paying attention to what it is that you need to do. All right, so for this one, the left side, we have some layering here, but it looks like more of a switch. She just kind of switched the head with the cake. It's not really what I asked you to do. You need to layer on top of the portrait somehow. This one over here, though, is a great example. Technical skill, layering, still see the portrait as well. Very clear concept and message, very well executed. Here, kind of a poor example. Nothing was really layered over the portrait. They just kind of took a portrait and combined it with an art historical piece and tried to make it work, but that's not what I was asking for. Okay, so this project is kind of inspired by Joseph Cornell. He was an American artist and sculptor, mostly known for assemblage, which just means kind of like assembled artwork. So looking at these assemblages, how do you relate these to the assignment? How can these ideas help you explore the use of two-dimensional space? So I'll give you, some reference of the layering that we see in each one, and also the positive and negative space that is used. I want you to think about that for a minute.